You have to have compassion for folks who are receiving the federal funds, but also you have to have compassion for the folks who are paying it. And that is one of the things that is new about this president's budget.
That was Mick Mulvaney, director of the Office of Management and Budget, earlier today outlining President Trump's $4 trillion budget blueprint. While Democrats jumped all over this plan with its cuts to Medicaid and food stamps in the State Department, you've got many on the GOP side slamming cuts to things like Meals on Wheels and the Appalachia Jobs Program and other things. But the GOP has said for years, just give us leadership and we will cut the fat from the budget and get tax reform. So can our next guest get everybody on his side in line? Joining me now in an exclusive, House Speaker Paul Ryan. Speaker, thank you very much for being with us. Good to see you tonight.
It's good to be with you, Martha. Thanks for having me.
So, you listen to Mick Mulvaney, who is saying something that we really haven't heard said before, which is we care about the people who are receiving benefits. We also care about the people whose pockets we're taking the money out of, and we want to spend that money in a way that is not wasted. I saw stories about that today online that said, oh, he feels so sorry for the rich people. Is that what we're hearing here?
Look, I got to tell you, I think it's refreshing to hear Mick Mulvaney say just that, because, look, we get this money from the hardworking taxpayer who pay their taxes in the first place. That's point number one. Point number two, what he's basically saying is, let's make sure we're getting our money's worth. I would argue, especially on programs that we've been doing for many, many years, we should measure whether they're successful or not. Are we actually getting the outcomes we want, or are we measuring success in Washington based on how much money we throw at programs by automatic spending increases? I don't think we should keep measuring success that way. We should measure success based on outcomes. That's the kind of thing Mick Mulvaney is talking about. But I'd say, Martha, there's a bigger point to be made here, and I don't think we should lose this point. And that is, for the first time in 8 years, we actually have a president now who is proposing we balance the budget.
Yeah.
We've never had that with Obama. He never even tried to balance the budget, let alone even proposed to balance the budget. So we now have a president saying, I agree with congressional Republicans, let's balance the budget. And so what I see is a president keeping his promises. He's putting more funds for the veterans, for the military, big things he prioritized in the campaign. He's emphasizing infrastructure.
Yep.
And then he's saying we need pro-growth tax reform to get the economy growing, and let's balance the budget. And so you can quarrel over the details. I've written a lot of budgets. Everybody quarrels over the details. But the aspiration and the goal is right on the target.
I hear you. But, when you start hearing on day one, you have Lindsey Graham weighing in. Do not cut the State Department. The State Department has 30,000 plus employees, and that's a 2016 number. They probably have more than that now. I mean, agriculture has 110,000 employees. And you have people on the GOP side who are chirping in and saying, don't cut Meals on Wheels, don't cut the Appalachia Jobs Program. Came from Senator McConnell today. Do you appreciate that?
I'm used to it. And not just because not from simply my side of the aisle, but this is the beginning of the budget process, Martha. I used to be the chairman of the Budget Committee. I served on that committee with Mick Mulvaney. This is the give and take that you get when budgeting begins. This is the beginning of the budget process. It starts, like the gun goes off at the starting line when the president submits his budget, and then the jockeying, the posturing, and the prioritizing occurs. But let's not lose the forest of the trees here. And that's what you're hearing there. People with priorities pushing for their priorities. And that's what Congress does. That's what budgeting is all about. But let's not lose the forest of the trees. We have a president who, for the first time in 8 years, says, I'm offering a plan to balance the budget, and I'm offering a plan that makes good on the things I ran on, the commitments I made. I think that's fairly refreshing, actually.
All right. So Tom MacArthur left the Tuesday group today. That's the moderate group. Is that discouraging to you? Because everybody watched what happened with the health care bill. Once you get the moderates on the raft, as I keep saying, the House Freedom Caucus falls off the other side, and then you get them on the raft, and the moderates fall in the water. I mean, how are you going to get a lot of people? And I have people on Twitter saying to me, ask him how he's going to get the rhinos in line. That means the Republicans in name only. And make sure he has the spine to do that. What do you say to them?
We passed our health care bill. We came together as a team. That's what I would simply say right there. Look, Tom stepped down as co-chair because he did that out of an abundance of caution. I think he exercised a lot of leadership stepping down as co-chair because he didn't want to pretend to be speaking for other people. He speaks for himself. He speaks for his constituents. And what I would say, Martha, is look at what we just did. This Obamacare repeal and replace bill is an enormous achievement for the House Republicans. And so we have been in opposition party mode for a number of years. And within 4 months' time, we went from being an opposition party to showing that we're learning how to become a governing party. That's what goes on with this. That's what happens when you have a big coalition government like we have with the Republican Party. It's a big tent party. people with deep red Republican districts, and people with moderate, suburban districts. And so we have to make sure that we get consensus, come together. We showed how we could do that on Obamacare.
I hear what you're saying.
This week we're passing our veterans bills, helping the veterans before Memorial Day. So there's a lot that we're doing here. The point I'd say is the president, I think he's got a very successful trip overseas right now, but we here in the Republican Congress are staying here, getting our work done, making a difference for the American people, getting things done. That's the point that you should be taking out of what's going on here this week.
Let me ask you one more question about the president, because, the Russia story has taken on a life of its own. Now it's about obstruction of justice. You've had Republicans, some of them hinting, if this doesn't work out, perhaps Mike Pence would be a good substitute for the president. If that is what some in your party are saying, can you establish, it's really all about support for the president. I mean, if the party stands behind this president in the face of all of this incoming, his chances to have the leadership that you want him to have are going to be much better. Can you say to us tonight that you believe he will have that and that will never leave him?
Yeah, look, like I said all along with these investigations, the investigations need to be independent. They need to go where the facts lead them, and they need to be deliberate and patient. So it's wrong to prejudge these things. It's wrong to suggest that you know what the conclusions are for objective, independent investigations. And by the way, there's a lot with respect to Russia to investigate. They just did a hearing in the Intelligence Committee in the House. The FBI has the special counsel that's going on. So those are going to go take their course. They need to be independent. They need to follow the facts wherever they go. But in the meantime, Martha, we've got work to do. In the meantime, the people of this country expect results. The president ran on delivering results. He just gave us a budget making good on his promises. It's our job to work with our president to make sure that we deliver on those results. And so that's the point I would make.
So you're saying let the investigation go where it will. I'm not hearing 100%
exactly.
We're absolutely behind it.
Well,
that's what I didn't hear.
I'm not going to prejudge. You asked me to prejudge the conclusion of these investigations. I have no idea what these investigations are going to produce because they just got started. So I'm not going to prejudge where this independent investigation is going to go as it follows its facts. There's one in the House, there's one in the Senate, and then there's the FBI one. So I'm not going to prejudge what that's going to do. But in the meantime, what I can control, what we can control, keep our promises. Do what we said we would do. Fix problems, solve problems. That's what the American people want. They don't want us up here beating each other up about these investigations every single day, talking about the news of the day. They want us working on their problems. Today, we're bringing legislation through to get rid of this waiting list the VA has, where veterans are waiting for their health care. These are the kinds of problems that affect people's lives. We were talking about tax reform half the day today to get this economy growing, to get the tax code simplified, to restrain the IRS, and to get businesses hiring again and bringing up wages. These are the things that we're working on. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. That's what the president ran on. That's what we ran on. That's what we want to deliver.
Speaker Ryan, thank you very much. Always good to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you, Martha.